Welcome to the Library Show. April's a great month. Things are happening all over the main line, and things are happening at all of our libraries as well. Today, we have two different segments. The first one focuses on a children's activity that, to be honest, is one of my favorites because I think it's so creative. We have Danielle Gowen with us, and she is the children's librarian at Penn Wynne Library. Danielle, I said I wasn't going to make you eat Peeps, and in case, by the way, anyone is wondering what Peeps are, take a look at the wall behind Danielle. You'll see lots of them in different colors. But colors are not necessarily what it's all about, maybe. But Danielle, first of all, welcome to the Library Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
It's a pleasure. And this program is very appropriate for April. Tell us a little bit about the program, and then we'll get to the specifics.
Well, this is my first time doing this with Penn Wynne Library, but it is our 6th annual Peeps Contest. And yes, if you don't know what Peeps are, there they are behind me. I also have some here on my desk. They are those very, very colorful marshmallow candies that they come in the original Peep shape, or they come in a bunny shape, and they're all over the stores right now.
Okay, so it's easy to get them. And what does one do with them if one wants to enter the contest?
So we're asking you to make a Peep diorama, and that is just a miniature scene of anything that you can create. So we've seen ones of Peeps at a concert, and Peeps going to the movies, and Peeps having a picnic, anything that you can come up with. Just put the Peeps, either the marshmallow chicks or the bunnies, in any sort of setup that you would like.
Okay, and this goes into what is essentially a shoebox. Is there a set size of the box that it goes into?
No, there is no set size that it can go into. You can use a shoebox, you can cut up another box to use, whatever you need to make your background.
Okay, and so people can use any type of box they want. And what is the date when do they have to register?
They don't have to register. They just have to drop their Peep diorama off on April 18th. And the voting will be between April 19th and April 23rd. And there's 4 different categories that you can enter in.
Okay,
so
and what are those categories?
There's the categories for children, so that's going to go up to 11 years old. Then there's a category for teens for 12 to 17, a category for adults, which are 18 and older, and then there's a family or team category, which would be 2 or more people of any age that can join together to do one set.
Well, based on the last 5 years of this program, this wonderful event, how many people usually submit dioramas of Peeps?
Oh, so the last one, I believe we had over 20.
Oh.
So I had a really, really nice turnout last time. And we're happy to be able to do it in person again. So you could come into the library and view the dioramas in person and vote on them.
So between April 18th and April 25th, or maybe even a little later, people could look at the display of all the Peeps that are part of the contest?
April 18th will be the drop-off, and then voting will be April 19th through the 23rd.
23rd, okay. And do you keep the Peeps around after that, or do they just...
No, we would ask that people take them home.
I'm picturing 20 of these shoeboxes full of marshmallow Peeps. That's kind of not very convenient. Okay, so people need to do it. People can do it according to their age. I like the idea of having Peeps teams. I think that's a very good way to do it. You can do it with a neighbor if you're feeling very artsy, craftsy,
yes,
full of ideas for this. It's a great thing. Is there a prize for the contest?
There's going to be a prize for each category, and I don't want to give away what those are just yet, but they're really cute.
I think I'm safe in saying it won't be a box of Peeps.
It won't be a box of Peeps, but they will all be Peeps related.
Okay. Okay, somewhere out there in Peep land, they came up with a way to, what's a good word? Expand the idea of Peeps into different kinds of things. And
there's a lot of Peeps merchandise, if you're curious.
Is that right? So I could probably go online and get some ideas. Some years ago, my husband and I were in Boulder, Colorado, and we went to the Celestial Seasonings factory, and they had lots of things that were tea related in their gift shop. So if they can come up with all these ideas for tea, I'm sure they could come up with ideas for Peeps merchandise that people would be interested in. They could always...
Oh yes, in fact, the Peeps factory is up in Bethlehem.
Is that right?
Yes.
Is it open to the public?
It is, and they have a festival every year at New Year's. They drop a Peep at noon, a giant Peep.
Oh, that's marvelous.
And you can go in and buy all sorts of Peeps merchandise. It's a
Okay,
lot of
so
fun.
that's a great idea. So if you're looking for something to do with your family on New Year's Day, this is New
Mhm.
Year's Day, not New Year's Eve, I gather?
I believe it's New Year's Eve at noon.
Oh, New Year's Eve day at noon. Okay.
Mhm.
So people are sometimes looking for things to do with young kids so they can go to sleep at night. This would be appropriate because it's a long drive and then they see it and then they come. Okay, got it. I'm just
Yep.
being careful. Okay, is there any limit to the number of peeps people can use in their dioramas?
No, and whatever whatever scene you create, it's up to your imagination.
Okay, well, that sounds good. And 20 is a total number for all four categories?
Oh no, as many as
No,
we.
I said how many had been submitted in the past, and you said 20.
Oh,
So,
oh yes, yes,
okay.
for all four categories.
Okay, well, that's encouraging. I think sometimes if people feel that they're fighting against 100 other people, that might be discouraging, but this is very both encouraging and it makes it feel very accessible, which I think
Yes.
is great. Anything else happening in terms of the children's activities this month?
We're going to introduce our first annual poetry contest because April is Poetry Month.
It is.
So it's going to be for grades 1 through 12, and we're just asking to that you submit an original poem, and they'll be judged per grade, and the winners will receive a gift card and have their poem displayed in the library.
Oh, that's marvelous. When do the poems have to be in?
So we're asking anytime in April. So from the 1st to the end of April, they can submit their poem, and then the winners will be chosen the beginning of May.
And will there be a ceremony to award prizes? Now, I don't want to sound as if I'm totally prize focused, mind you, but sometimes there's something very affirming about getting a prize.
Well, we'll definitely make an announcement on our Facebook page and Instagram page. Wow. And then we'll have the library or the poem on display in the library. We'll put it in a frame.
That's terrific. So there's certainly recognition for that. That's a terrific thing. I know that April is Poetry Month, and it's wonderful how the libraries each recognize it, in each library in its own way, which is great. Let's see, is there any outdoor activity? Or these are both sort of more indoor things. Is there anything outdoors that's happening this month?
There's going to be an Earth Day STEM event where that is registration, and where you will learn about how plants pollinate, and we will decorate a planter and plant a seed so you can take a plant home.
Oh, that's marvelous. I love that. And it's going to be a good segue right into the second half of our program because we'll be talking about plants and gardens there too. It's appropriate for this month. Danielle, I thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. And these are wonderful activities. Parents, please do utilize all the wonderful things at our libraries, particularly Penn Wynne Peeps Contest in April. I am going to stop in and see it. I will not nibble anything. I promise I will not steal any peeps. Danielle and I have talked about eating peeps, and I'm not going to do that there. But I think that the fun of making the diorama will be taking a sneak peek of the peep. And stay tuned. We'll be right back for more library show. Thanks, Danielle. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Welcome back to the library show. Well, we just dealt with one of our, I don't know about penultimate, but one of our really fun children's programs, but let's talk for a moment here about adult programs. And we have with us J.W. Law, who's the circulation desk manager from the Bala Cynwyd Library. We're doing lots of things at Bala this month. The first thing, let's talk about something that's allied to what Danielle said, and it's a program that involves Longwood Gardens and seed planting, J.W.?
Yes, Lenore. So what we have every year, we take part of the Longwood Gardens Community Read. It's a program that libraries and other organizations throughout the Delaware Valley area take part in. And basically, we just try and do is have programs for children, teens, and adults, sort of related to gardens and with whatever theme they've decided that year. So this year for the teen crowd, our young adult librarian, Alex Cavacino, put together a do-it-yourself seed planting activity. What will happen is the teens can come by the library, and while supplies last, they can pick up a bag, little take and bake bag, with a little tiny bag of seeds and a planter and some soil in it. And then what they can do is they can go home, log on to our library's Facebook page, and watch a video of Alex showing the teens how to actually plant the seeds and what they might expect the process.
Okay, so do they show their plant as it grows on Facebook? Is that part of what happens?
Yeah, we would encourage them to do that. Yeah, so they can sort of make it an ongoing shared activity.
Oh, that's very cool. It's very cool, very interesting. And then what do they do specifically with Longwood Gardens? Longwood Gardens is in charge of the whole thing, but do they do anything at Longwood Gardens?
Well, what could happen is we get passes from Longwood Gardens for participating, and we give those out often as prizes later on during the year for various library programs. So some teens and some adults will get prizes, and also Longwood Gardens every year chooses books for the adult and juvenile crowd that we can all sort of read together. So our children's librarians will be doing story times with some of these books.
Ah, okay, very neat. Just last month, we were talking about the free museum passes that are given out at the library desk that people can take out for a short time and go visit museums in the greater Philadelphia area. So here's something where people get a free pass to use. It's a one-time use, I assume.
Yeah, it's usually good for a unit of 4, I believe, a family of 4. And then we give those out usually to attendees of programs or prize winners for summer reading. So people can expect that later in the year.
You said that the programs that are overseen by Longwood Gardens are for children, teens, and adults. What's the adult component of this?
So this year we have a gardening program that's actually taking place in March. So we have a local horticulturist giving a talk about trees. And that's sort of held under the Longwood Gardens Community Read banner for adults.
Okay, so you have to really be awake to catch the things when they're happening. So the trees were March, April is the teens doing planting, and is there a children's aspect to this as well?
Yeah, there are some children story times, like I mentioned, for the younger crowd in April.
Okay. All right. Now, April's important for another week. Besides being National Poetry Month for librarians, it's also Library Week. And I understand that Bala is doing something to recognize Library Week.
Yes, our children's department on Library Week, which is April 4th to the 9th, if any child comes into the library and checks out a book or some other kind of library material, they get either a pencil or a bookmark, just something, kind of small and fun to commemorate National Library Week. So it might be a fun way to reward kids for checking out books at our children's desk.
Well, I like that. I think that kids really love the idea of coming home with something clutched in their hand that they got at the library. In addition, I mean, the book obviously is a key element to that, but something else, that's a great idea. I know that Bala is a very busy place. Is there anything else that's going on for adults that month besides this growing and garden and all of that stuff?
We've been trying to do adult programs. Right now, they're all online once a month. This month in April, we have a program called Translingual Inheritance. It's a local history program, and that's going to be held on April 7th. It's a Thursday, and it's register online. It's free, no cost. You can register on our library's website, and essentially, it's a professor from Drexel, Elizabeth Kimball. She's going to be talking about the role of language in colonial Philadelphia. Because Philadelphia was a melting pot, as it was a port city during the colonial times, and we have all kinds of different people coming here and how different languages interacted and changed over time.
Wow, isn't that fascinating? So here we go. We go from the very youngest kids who are doing things with marshmallows and with planting, and the teens doing that, and then adults doing something so cerebral and intellectual. I never would have thought that colonial Philadelphia was a place where language was changing and language was adapting and including all these people from faraway places. I guess they could get in, come up the river on a boat and be in Philadelphia. Wow. And it was also a trading port, wasn't it, at that time? There was a lot of trading that was going on in Philadelphia.
It was, yeah.
I mean, I know I tend to think of the documents. I think of the importance of the Constitution and the Declaration, but they were doing a lot of other things. Okay, so that's a good thing. Wow. Anything else? Let me not shortchange our viewers with what's happening at Bala.
Well, we have at the end of the month, we're planning on having a tech Q&A. That's going to be on Thursday, April 28th. That is where our Lower Merion Township Technology Librarian, Adam Hay, comes by and does one-on-one help sessions with people. And that is basically a half-hour time slot where you and Adam just sit together and you can ask him any tech questions you have. Whether it's how to download an ebook, how to get your email on your iPad, how to work your cell phone, anything like that, and he can help you with that.
Adam, I know Adam, and he is terrific. He's not only been on this program, but he's my go-to guy if I have a question. So not generally, but library-related question. But you said you have a half hour over what period of time? Is it 3 hours that he does it, and then he gets to see six
it's
people?
From 2 to 5. So you have there's at least a half-hour time slot for each person, and if it has to go over, it can go over as well.
I hate to use this word, is getting the time slots competitive?
A little bit, yeah. The way to sign up is we don't have any kind of online sign up like we do for other adult programs. This is, you just can come by the library and sign up at our circulation desk, or just give us a call and we can sign you up for a time slot.
Wow. You know, it's not particularly related to gardening or April, but that seems to me like a very, very valuable program. And my guess is that people will be so appreciative of it, they'll clamor for you to do it again and for Adam to do it again, because we are all so connected to our machines and to electronics that having somebody who can help us out with the increasing complexity of them is really a gift. And I often say, pardon me for sort of getting on my soapbox, but I often say that libraries are not just libraries as they used to be, but they're really community centers. And I think the Lower Merion libraries are particularly good at fulfilling that community center role. And here's a great example of it. It's not specifically related to books. It's not specifically related to movies at the library, but it's something that people are doing and it's something that people need. And I think that the community center role here is a very important one. And people who don't come to the library are sort of missing out on a very important aspect of community life here in the township. That's the end of it. My speech is over, everybody. But I do think that that's important. And theoretically, since Adam's here, he could do this again at some other point. I'm not committing him, mind you, but just as a point of information.
Yes, so we started doing this actually back in the fall, and it's been so popular that we've been trying to do it bi-monthly. And he has some very dedicated people who want to sign up every month. So I would encourage those who are interested to try and give us a call early.
I'm sure that's an interesting thing. You can't give it to certain people all the time. They maybe Adam is their own personal advisor or computer maven, and that's not fair. It's a community. I talked about community, so it's good to share his time. Are there any books that are particularly popular right now, JW? I since you're doing circulation, I just thought I would get back to the old reliable, that is books.
Let me think. Right now, the most popular book probably is the new Amor Towles book, Lincoln Highway.
Okay.
That book is incredibly popular. Everyone seems to want it. I haven't read it yet. I'll probably wait till the interest dies down a bit so I can actually get a copy, but everyone is very interested in that book right now.
He was the author for the Montgomery County One Book program a couple of years ago, and they had 2 events and had hundreds and hundreds of people there to hear him speak. That was when it was about a gentleman. It was about a gentleman in Moscow was the book, and people loved it. There was tremendous loyalty and tremendous interest in that. So I'm not surprised that the new one has a high degree of interest. I look for authors that I like, so I understand that people say, "Oh, I really like the previous Amor Towles book," so now I'm going for the other one. It's a large book. It's not as short, skinny book. So I say kudos to all the people who are reading large books. I know that sounds pretty basic, but I think sometimes we think, oh, people really only want to read a 300-page book and a larger book comes out. And people are interested because he's such a good writer. That really attracts people. Is there any nonfiction book that's very popular now? Is that a fair question?
I can't think of any off the top of my head right now that are very popular. I know Isabella Wilkerson's book, Cast, was very popular for a while. And I know that was assigned by certain schools in the area as well for summer reading. But I think that, that was very popular for some time.
Yeah, she is quite a writer. I know a couple of book clubs that were doing that book. So when books hit the book club circuit, they tend to be read more widely too. That's a very popular thing. I sometimes wonder if people like nonfiction books at times like these because they feel like they're learning something, even if they're not out of the house as much. Now people are more open. The libraries are open, certainly. Can I ask you one other question? This is sort of personal, but it's one that people ask me all the time. Are the libraries accepting used books to sell again, or is that being done? Last I heard, that was being done on a library by library basis. The donation of books was one of those things that during COVID went by the wayside, but has it come back?
So for our particular library, yes. I know some libraries in Lower Merion, like I believe Belmont Hills, they do not take donations just for space reasons, but I believe Lizzie Barry, the head librarian there, would know for sure. But for Bala, particularly, we do take donations. Jackie Schulmeister, who you know, one of our reference librarians here, she sort of oversees our book donation area, and she does a great job of sorting those and putting them out for sale or adding them to the library. But people can bring by donations. We just ask that they give us a call beforehand, just so we know to expect them, because technically it's by appointment only, and it's 2 boxes or bags at a time.
Oh, that's important information. I appreciate that. Because sometimes people will say to me, I have all these books. I've been home, I've been cleaning, what do I do? And what I always say to people, you only want gently used books. You don't want books with the corners, where the pages have the corners turned down, and books in good condition. Well, I wish you good luck with that and good luck with these programs. JW, thanks so much for being on. And thank you for watching The Library Show. Take care, and I hope you'll visit our library soon. Bye-bye.